Well, hi everybody, David here. Ricky and I haven't shot a video in a couple of weeks. Actually, Jane and I went on a vacation. We've been gone almost 2 weeks. We drove out through Denver, down into Utah, visited Capitol Reef National Park, Bryce Canyon National Park, and Zion National Park in Utah. Then we drove down to Williams, Arizona, and rode the train from Williams, Arizona up to the Grand Canyon, which neither of us had ever been to the Grand Canyon or to Zion, any of those parks, and they were gorgeous. It wasn't crowded this time of year. It's the middle of March. It wasn't crowded, and we had a lot of fun. It was nice to have a few days off, go on a long road trip, and kind of see some of the country that we hadn't really seen before. But while we were gone, something amazing happened. The snow melted. Look at that. Pretty much every day, 50s and 60s, every day we were gone. When we left Minnesota, it was snowing pretty hard that day we left. And when we returned, it was snowing when we returned. But in the meantime, it had been in the 50s and 60s, and it pretty much all melted. About all that's left is where it was drifted real deep, and then I'll show you out back behind the barn, some of the piles where it still is behind the barn. So now it's finally warm enough. We can get started on some of our spring projects, and we've got a lot to do. But I think I want to, let's go for a drive down by the creek, by the road, and see what the water's doing in the creek there. We had a real dry summer last year. It was real dry, like too dry, and we had a decent snow over the winter, not real deep, but we did have plenty of snow. But we'll drive down there and just see where all this melted snow ended up down in the creek. So ride with, we're going to take the golf cart. So there's our little creek that runs, well, it drains from the east side of our farm. You can see our farm in the distance. It drains all the land to the east side, flows down here and into this creek, and then this eventually drains into the west branch of the Rum River. So they tell me while we were gone, when the snow was first melting last week, that the creek was over the banks. In fact, this area you can see over here was all flooded, which it does every spring pretty much. Occasionally, if we have a spring with a lot of snow and if the ground's already saturated, it'll come up and over this road here, but that hasn't happened in a few years, but it does happen when we do have a flood. So all the land anyway drains on this side, drains from the east. Our house and the barn and stuff is kind of at the crest of the property, and so everything on this side from the house east drains down to this creek and eventually into the Rum River. And it's, for this time of year, that's pretty low in the creek. And like I said, that's because we had such a dry summer last year. There was no water already in the creeks and ponds, and everything was pretty dry. But we'll go up on the farmyard. I'll kind of show you some of the things we got planned up there. So hang on, we'll take the golf cart back to the farm. And Ricky's gonna ride with his muddy feet, aren't you? Are we back at the farm? Are we back at the farm now? So one of the things that happened while we were gone is the power company, our electric utility company, came out and replaced our pole in the center of the yard. They come out and test them, I don't know, every few years, and they determined that this pole needed to be replaced. So they put in a new pole, and the ground was frozen, so they had to thaw the ground out. It was quite a process. They did that all while we were gone, but we knew they were coming while we were gone. But so yeah, we got a new yard pole with a new LED yard light, which has a nice golden tone to it. I thought when they were going to use an LED, it might be that real harsh white light, which I dislike, but it's not. It's a nice warm tone light. And then they were kind enough to not only give us the pole that was left over from the old yard pole, but they brought us a couple extras. I'd asked them if if they don't need those old used poles, that they can't reuse them, if they could drop a couple off, and they did. So we've got a few poles for projects around the farm. Here's something I'll have to watch for though, staples. Looks like they left a staple there. I'll set that there for now. But we'll walk around the yard here. I'll show you some of the things we got planned. We got to do some driveway grading, of course. We usually hit it early in the spring with the old field drag here, just to kind of loosen it up and help dry it out. We'll come back later with the land plane and the box blade. We're probably going to do some kind of like a demo kind of thing, maybe comparing the two to see which one seems to work the best. You can see we still have the big snow piles. You know, those were probably 8 feet deep or so with all the piled up snow that we plowed over the winter. So that's going to take a couple weeks before that all melts. Actually, the next few days look a little colder again. Today's pretty nice. It's mid-40s, a little bit of sun, but the next few days are supposed to be cold again, so there won't be much melting going on after today for a while. But yeah, at least the snow's gone. We can get back here to the barn again. We've got to do some cleaning up here around the corn crib gazebo, get all this dead plant material picked up and cleaned up, so all that can start coming through the ground and blooming again. Of course, over the winter we had the videos where we did the lights on the trucks. We got a little bit of work there to do yet, but that's not too big a deal. The fire pit over here, again, we'll have to, what I do there, and you may not agree with me, but I've been doing it for 20 plus years and it works well for me, is we burn off like the hydrangea blooms that are left from last winter. We'll burn that off along with some of the other, I can't even remember what plant this is, but we burn that dead plant material. Seems to work really good for us. Those hydrangeas are gorgeous, and burning those blooms off has worked very well over the years. You know, we won't burn like the woody material, like this 9 bark, the pea tree, you know, none of that woody stuff will burn, but all the grassy type stuff will burn. So I'll do that when things dry out just a little more. It's still, you know, the leaves are still a little wet and there's still a little snow over there. We got to do a little adjusting on these sidewalks. We put this down, these recycled plastic sidewalk material. We did this late last fall. Actually, I think it was in December, just before the snow flew and the ground froze. We put these down because a lot of the traffic from the bar area, they take this route from the bar over to the barn loft stairway, and they walk pretty much the same route all the time. So we wanted to try, if we put this down, people will continue to walk that same route without killing all the grass. And you know, and they use this route over here too a lot. So we just want to give people a place to walk, see how this works. Maybe somewhere down the road we could do something more permanent, but I wanted to try this first. Excuse me. When the grass starts to green up, it should come up through there, up through these slats. and I'll be able to mow. The idea is to be able to mow right over the top of it with the lawnmower, and we'll see how that works out. But yeah, most of the snow around here is gone. We've got a lot of cleaning up to do in the bar, get that ready for spring. Weeping willow tree over there, I don't know if you can really see that, but a lot of sticks and things to pick up there. I have to finish the lights on the water fountain truck, or water fountain tractor. So I got a little bit of work to do there yet. A little bit of snow left by the mine. We got the lights all going in the woodshed last fall, and the dog has left us some treasures here and there. That's this afternoon's job. Got a few things to do here. A lot of snow here hasn't melted yet. It gets shaded there, and that was really drifted in deep. But it's all gone pretty much by the fire truck. And we'll talk about that too. There's a little there to melt yet. And then the last video you probably saw where we had this mishap. This wooden platform was in the back of the fire truck, and it was there when we bought it. They had used it as a platform to stand on and do things. So that was there, and we had a really strong wind back in, I think it was in February, after we had fixed all the lights and all that up. And the wind caught this thing, and this thing's heavy. It weighs, I bet it weighs a couple 100 pounds, if not more. And it flipped it out of the back of the truck, and you'll see that in the other video. But it flipped that out of the back of the fire truck over the top of the cab, broke off all the lights. All the red lights got broke off, and the plastic and all this I got to clean up, and I got to try to replace those lights. The bar light with the 2 on it, the flat bar you can see, that I believe was added later. That's not original to 1964 when this fire truck was built, but that center revolving one is older, and I believe that is original to the fire truck. I'm hoping, I've looked on eBay, I'm hoping I can find the new plastic piece. I'm hoping the revolving mechanism is still good. It doesn't look like it's damaged, but I guess we'll find out. But I think I'll remove that bar with the other 2 and just not have that there at all. But I want to find the red, what do you want to call it? The dome. It's the rounded dome part. It's old enough that they were rounded, not squared off. So hopefully I can find that on eBay or something and get that replaced. But yeah, I got this mess here to clean up now. Pile of snow there yet. Some snow back by the trailers. And the ground is very muddy. Yeah, like I said, it's very muddy, especially when your camera falls off your mount here. I think that's still working, Tom. What else do we got to do? Here's our land plane. We'll be using that. We're going to be using that on the driveway when it dries out just a little bit more. The driveway's still just a little too wet for that, but we'll be using that when the driveway dries out a little more. What else? We'll be using the disc in the garden when things dry out. And then I've got the box blade too. We'll probably compare those 2 side by side on the driveway and see which does better. Yeah, we'll compare those 2 and see how that works. But yeah, those are just a few of the projects we got coming up for the spring. There's a lot more, a lot to do, you know, before we can start mowing grass. Oh, one more thing I want to show you. We'll walk over to the shed. We got to get the lawnmowers serviced and new blades, all that kind of stuff. I've got to change oil on the tractor too. Let's go over to the shed here. Got 2 zero-turn lawnmowers, and I bought from Ballard Incorporated. They're out of Iowa. They supply a lot of stuff, a lot of accessories and blades and different accessories for the lawn care industry. So I bought their, well, it's in that box. It's the shim kit, so they call it for X blades. So you can run 2 blades stacked on top of each other. And we're going to get that set up on this one. What model is this thing? 930M John Deere with the tweels. We got the tweels on it. So we're going to put those X blades on that, the Ballard X blades. And then the older one here, the 757 with the material collection system. We're going to do the same thing there. Put those X blades. I've got them all sitting there waiting to go. But we'll have to do that this spring yet, along with changing oil before we get out there and mow. But it's a good, we've got a good month or more before I got to worry about mowing. Maybe even a little 6 weeks probably even before things dry out and warm up enough to have to mow. And then one other thing we've got to finish up is Jane's watering trailer. We shot a video about assembling that trailer. We got to get the tank mounted down. Got to get the battery. I've got the battery for it. We've got to get a pump. I don't have that yet. The pump and some of the plumbing and things we'll need to make that all work, and mount the solar panel that'll keep that battery charged. That cart will sit outside most of the year in the summer and keep that battery charged, but we got to finish that up this spring. Events coming up on the farm. We've got here in about a month, toward the end of April, we have our local school here. It's their prom, and the kids come out here and take prom photos. They use the upstairs loft of the barn and some of the other decorations to do prom pictures out here. They've been doing that for quite a few years. So that'll be coming up the end of the April. We've got about 2 months before our first wedding of the season, and we got a lot to do before then. But for right now, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go around. Ricky's gonna help me, right? Are you gonna help me? Ricky will help. Ricky's gonna help me, and we'll go around and pick up all the nice treasures that Ricky has left me over the winter. There's landmines all over once the snow melts, isn't there? Why do you do that? Why don't you go out in the field? Why do you do that on the lawn, huh? Okay, well, we're gonna walk around for a few hours with a shovel and pick up those landmines, and yeah, hoping for some warmer weather. Like I said, next couple days look a little colder, but it's supposed to get better after that. So we'll get these landmines cleaned up this afternoon and start taking shape for spring. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later.